Today's show is brought to you by Manscaped. The leaders in below the waistline grooming. Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. And when you talk about it being a little fall ball action, you want to make sure that your balls during the fall time of year are not too scary, because we know it's spooky season as well. And the best way to do that is by using the Lawnmower 4.0 and all of the awesome products that Manscaped has out right now, whether you're talking the Ball Reviver, the Crop Refresher. Of course, you got the 2-in-1 body wash, shampoo, conditioner, all that other good stuff. But more importantly, it comes with a promo code. That promo code is MOST. If you use that, you get 20% off along with free shipping worldwide at manscaped.com. So make sure you check them out. Use that promo code. And trust me when I tell you, your dangly twins and all of the friends will enjoy them. So shout out to Manscaped.
All the offense, though, is for naught if that defense isn't playing like it did the whole game.
1,000%.
It was just unbelievable. It was, as I mentioned, everyone stepped up at their own specific times.
Absolutely.
Literally. I mean, it was across the board. The pass deflections by the corners, by the secondary were incredible. They weren't getting like that much separation. Brady was trying to fit it into tight windows, but every time it was like we had a dude right there, even on some of the completions. That one Godwin completion in triple coverage right up the middle. Actually, I think they're showing it right here. Look at that.
Yeah, or even the one where the tight end caught it on Spillane. It's like, dude, Spillane's hand is right there. It literally goes slightly past his hands and slightly shallower than the safety. Like, when they had to complete passes, we made them have to make exceptional plays. And that's the approach that we took. You heard Coach Simon talking post-game about it was a little bit more simplified. You take that approach when your secondary is what it was. But that approach has to be, we're going to keep everything in front of us. We're going to keep a lid on it, but we got to tackle everything. And those were the two things that they did, the secondary specifically. They didn't give up the big 60-yarder or the 98-yarder that we saw in Buffalo. And we didn't have a lot of run after catch either. When these receivers caught the ball, we were tackling them. Josh Jackson, man, it was a couple of plays where it's like, yo, all right, Mike Evans caught the ball, but he makes the tackle, gets him on the ground. Chris Godwin makes the tackle, gets him on the ground. And as long as you do that, what you're doing is making the Bucs have to snap that ball 10, 12, 13 times consistently and not make mistakes. You might do it once or twice, and we saw them do it, right? But when you talk about doing that for 4 quarters and when the field gets condensed in the red zone, that's where you can really, make your hay. And we were able to do that while on offense being able to maintain scoring. And that was the other part. We talk about working together like that. It was beautiful. And even from a special teams perspective, we flipped the field position multiple times, right? In terms of Steven Sims with the big returns. But then also when you talk about Presley and his punting, he made sure that we were always giving them the long field. They didn't get a ton of, oh man, they only got to go 30 yards, 40 yards. Like, nah, even the backed up punt still crossed the 50. It was a 55-yard punt, 52 with the net, 3-yard return. That's field flipping. So when you're talking about this team as a collective, like, we can do it, but we just got to do this in terms of this type of consistency in all 3 phases. We just have to keep doing that. This was one of the most complete games that we've played from start to finish, and versus a really good team too, man. So for me, it's like, dude, seeing this, it makes you believe even more. It's like, no, dude, you've put it on tape again. Like, we can't expect this from you guys. We can't expect Chase Claypool to make those type of plays, those type of catches, because he's done it in stadium, man.
That's without Minka Fitzpatrick.
Absolutely.
Without TJ Watt.
Talk about it.
Without our top 3 corners as well.
Talk about it.
Also got amazing pressure, too. That's one of the things that we were talking about.
Absolutely,
we were really
man.
lacking, particularly in that Bills game. Malik Reed gets a sack, Alex Highsmith with the strip sack. And there were countless times where Brady had to get rid of the ball with the dude's hand right in his face. And you know that always throws Brady off. That's the one
Hayward
thing.
And Larry Ogunjobi, too, man. Those two dudes consistently provided interior pressure as well.
Chris Wormley getting in on the action.
Shout out to Big Worm, man.
Just a great overall performance. I loved it.
And the funny thing too, so we've talked about how we use DeMarvin Leal in our big nickel, or when we go to like that 4-3 overlook. Yeah. And we'll have him out there as like a DN on tight ends and stuff like that. And we said, man, he's really explosive and we love his ability to play out there, but sometimes the detail in terms of like the gap discipline isn't always consistent. Well, the flip side is with DeMarvin being out, they went with Wormley there. And the beauty was this. Wormley, though he's not as explosive and as disruptive as DeMarvin, it almost worked out better because he's more gap and fundamentally sound. So when you're looking at these linebackers this week, it was not a lot of guessing. They knew exactly, hey, man, this dude's going to be in this guy. He might not be the penetrator and make a splash play like DeMarvin would make, but when you consistently know he's going to be where he's going to be, it makes it a lot easier. And when you talk about the play of all three of those linebackers, Devin, Miles, and Robert, and when you talk about them specifically in the run game too, you look at how they were playing, some of the plays they were making, that is a big part of that as well, man. So like I said, I definitely wanted to shout Wormley out for that, just in the sense of, man, him coming in, and even though he was different than a DeMarvin, he was still just as impactful, just as effective as well.
Yeah, it's funny too when you talk about the run game, because if you would have asked me this morning, I would have felt like the Steelers did kind of what we talked about on Wednesday's podcast, letting the Bucs run. Yeah. But at the same time, I look at the final stats. Fournette had 21 attempts. We held him to like 3 yards a carry. So we were actually also very fundamentally sound with our run defense as well. Absolutely, throughout the whole game, because they did keep going to him. Oh no, I don't know why. They didn't shy away. I don't know why it didn't feel like we were that focused on stopping the run. Maybe it's because they would be quick to go away from it after they did get a stop. But they were always sprinkling in runs throughout their drives. But we did a pretty good job outside of like one or two that Leonard Fournette got, where he maybe got like 10 or 15 yards. Yeah, we're solid. It was impressive, man. It was impressive, man.